Well, it's been a while, but welcome to this third episode of the Self-Indulgence of the Unapplied. Um, in this series, it's basically me taking a look at some old drawings from the slush pile, the piles of shoeboxes and binders full of these rough sketches that took place years ago, and I'm bringing them up into modern day and making them fully realized drawings. Why? Why not? Um, Most of them, a lot of them, like this one here, uh, came from my days working a certain machine shop between 1998 and 2009. And it was a CNC machine shop predominantly, but there was conventional things going on there too. And so when I take on afternoon or night shifts, it would give me time to free doodle as the machines after setting up, and a little bit of overseeing on my part, depending on what was going on. If it was production work, I could let them run while I could doodle and doodle and doodle and do the thing that I truly loved, you know. Anyway, that's another story, but this is actually a picture of a coworker at that time. It's more of a caricature, I guess, based on the size of the head. But most of these drawings were done on the back of computer printout paper, as you can see here. These pieces of paper are actually half sheets of computer printout. Each program that was run through for computer numeric control in the machine shops on the machines, you'd have a hard copy printout at your desk that you could go over and modify and change and correct and whatever. You know, you have first of all, after the printouts would come down from engineering. And sometimes they'd be on the floor with you as you were starting. Before you could work the bugs out, you'd have that by your side. But, after every job, you had these stacks and stacks of this paper that just went to recycling. Well, there was someone at work who decided to started ripping them in half, running a staple through them and throwing them on our desks so we could leave notes for the various shift workers coming in, telling them what they needed to know about watching certain tools, certain density, or to watch the parts for porosity, or anything that would come up, really. Anything that they'd need to know to run the job, safely, whatever. But we started using that, and so with those stacks there, of course, I utilized them. I'd go to work on them. Just a slush pile, stacks of this shit. Just goes on and on. But that's a drawing from that time. Anyway, let's get started. Anyway, let's take a look at this one. This one goes back. Oh, by the way, the previous drawing I just showed you of coworker, that was 2009. That would be my last year working that particular job. But this one dates back to 2001. And I think you can make out what's going on here. We've got a picture of, which it's undetermined, you would assume is the Green Goblin, and Spidey jumping out of the way of a pumpkin bomb sort of thing. It looks like he's on his flyer, but it was never finished. The sketch was never finished. Well, it had a quality, but it was kind of ghastly, and I guess I kind of pushed it away because I wasn't happy with it. Obviously, the first thing you notice is the size of Gobby's head. Now, is that the goblin or is that the hobgoblin? I wouldn't be sure. I wouldn't really know. But I would have to guess and say that it was going to turn out to be the hobgoblin because it's a full hood and you can't really see his cowl-like cap that strings out after him, right? But there was a problem there. The size of his head, it was too big for the body. It's disproportionate, right? That's just a ballpoint pen, as you can see. I'm guessing it's a Bic. I don't know, there's a purple hue running through the ink. But anyway, had to change. So the first thing I'd have to do is do something about his head if I was going to bring this up and make it a fully realized drawing. Now, the technique is real simple when it whether it's black ink or the ballpoint pens, take these and make copies, right? Photocopies the images. If I do it in color, of course, I'll maintain the blue hues. Sometimes when you make your copies, if you're going to do alterations and draw in more ink work, it's sometimes a good idea to take the density down so it's not too strong, right? And you can etch out what you want to keep and go from there. But before even getting started there, I knew I had to do something about that head. So it was a matter of off with his head. As you see, it's cut out there. But I thought, you know what? Wait a minute. If I'm going to be playing with this image, and I'm going to alter it, maybe... wait, not so fast. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take the original, because this is a photocopy of the original, and, then I took this photocopy and cut out the head. But I thought maybe what I should do is blow this up. Blow the original, drawing up. Hold on. And so I did. I started sizing it up, right? Here's another even bigger image, right? Sizing it up, but this is after the work was done on the head, the size, but here's a blown up size where I removed the head again. Now the idea behind that was to take the head of the original size of the head on the original drawing and put it on this blown up body, which should, in my mind, I felt would equate, right? So, it would bring the head into proportion with the rest of the body. So I'd go ahead and do that. And so when I took that cut off head and pasted it on and got my photocopy, you could see the head was more proportionate to the body in that. Now it was a matter of going over the drawing and seeing what was there, what wasn't there, and bringing the full image up. But there was something I did along the way before I got there. Now, I've got, about a little more than half a dozen of photocopies here of the development in this blue ink, right? But I can't for the life of me find the original, and it's got to be around here somewhere, but the original, what I did was I made a satchel for him to hang at his side, but it's a complete satchel, which is a completely different component. It's a paste up. I drew it and then cut it out and then pasted it on, and it looked a little like this. And there it was, and suddenly Hobgobby had a satchel. Like I said, this was a it's a separate piece altogether. It's all cut out. It's actually not even made with the same quality paper. It was made with a gloss paper, actually. But anyway, I was drawing. I just got this idea to draw it. Then I thought, well, maybe I can just stick it on the back, including the strap here and this strap around here. And I just glued it on. Then I got my copy, and there it was, the satchel. But there was still work to be done on the feet. The flyer still had to be put in, and any corrections that I might want to change a few things here and there. I had to do some work on the fingers. At this stage, actually, at this advanced stage, a lot of the work's already done. You can see, and there are some stages of the drawing's development that I don't have here with me, including the one with the satchel, the actual stuck-on satchel. But I'll do what I can here. And so now what you got with this, what is this, 11 by 17 sheet, another blown up even further, right? See, it's even larger. You have the finished figures and pretty much how I left them, but I'm going to show you a smaller shrunken version of that, like a 8 by 11. That way we can get the camera right up there and I can show you a few things. I'll tell you what I did just before I show you the final image there, or as far as it is thus far, or whatever, right? Well, I mean, there was a lot of work to be done. I had to tool out the hands and the feet to get them they were full of bugs and stuff. And I mean, I just, I wasn't quite happy with their shapes or forms, so I went around and did that. Did some retooling of some of the blacks along the bottoms of the muscle bellies here with some crack shadow. You know, I'm a big fan of the crack shadow, whatever. Got shadowing out on the legs, restructuring the back, the hindquarters, and, fine tuning some of the drapery. And there was a lot of chicken scratching around the figure of Spider-Man, whiting out a lot of those bad lines and bringing them up clearer. The finger structure was bad too in the beginning, so I fixed that too. Yeah, and then that was pretty much it. I modified some of this back here too. I wasn't happy with it. I had to white out and come back to it. I want to find those sheets where I made the modification so you could see exactly what I was doing. But all I got for you now is a smaller version of this so that we may push the camera up closer. Let's take a look. Yeah, and then it was fine-tuned, and then there you had your shape. As I said, it's a ballpoint pen. If there was anything that I'd want to change on this or modify or make it look better, it would be, of course, I've talked about this before, it is the thing that I do not find so easy just yet. But Romita was kind of like the master of it, and he taught the guys coming in to do Spider-Man how to do it. But it is the rendering of the webbing throughout the costume. There's a certain way to do it. Mine comes in kind of wonky, I got to admit. Like, I can draw the figures in, I can get my anatomy so-so, right, and all that. But I'd like to do the webbing again. So what I would probably do when I tackle that is go back and white out all of the webbing and then really think it over how I'd want to construct that. One of the things I think that would help in the case of this drawing would be to, where you have the detail of the spine and the musculature, right, some of the cuts and shapes of the muscle belly, kind of phase that out when it comes to the red portions of the costume so you can concentrate directly on the webbing. Leave it in the blue areas, the dark areas, but when it comes to this, smooth it out a bit so you can concentrate. Because I've noticed that's how it was rendered in the comic books that I grew up with. They do they put in the red portions, right? Get the shape fairly accurate, but it seemed like they do the webbing of those areas and then go in here and there and maybe do a little embellishment to shape out, a little bit of feathering here, a black here or a black there to, shape out the muscle belly and stuff afterwards. But it gets confusing when you already have shapes that are contorted and rounded and stuff to try and go in there, because you got these straight lines, the long lines that you have to think about forming, and then you have to mesh them together with the smaller lines that are actually curved and not straight. It's difficult, man. It's difficult. It's something that I've yet to master, and I hope to do that soon enough. But I think it's another case of sitting down and just mastering it, just like so many other things I had to work on, like some days just doing all feet, right? And then, things like that, or sitting down doing just horses, or whatever the case might be. But yeah, that's that one brought up to speed. Definitely wanted to put some background in it, but the thing I was rushing to get done was the figures themselves, and they're just fine. And the next time I show it, I suppose I'll put some backgrounds in there. Of course, it'd be skyscrapers, or they're flying over rooftops that aren't so high with water towers on them, etc., or whatever. Could be anything. Could be over the Brooklyn Bridge. Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. But moving on. Oh, but wait. Wouldn't be complete unless we showed a black and white copy, right? In case it was going to be rendered comic book style, pen and ink style. But the original is blue ink, but there's a black and white copy of her. Okay, here we go. Now, what you're looking at there is a very rough sketch, just an outline really, in black ballpoint pen of something that was shown. Some of you will remember seeing this image in the On the Board series, number 1 actually, right from the get-go. This image of an insect morph, female form. As you can see, the contours, the curves here, bespectacled in sunglasses with some sort of wing formation here and the antennae and stuff. So kind of morphed into some sort of weird, ghoulish kind of butterfly form. Anyway, I saw that image and I always realized that there was something that had to be done with it. I loved the idea of the wing formation and I really wanted to return to it. And this one is, oh God, the year escapes me. I can tell you between the years that it was. I actually know exactly because I have it written down and it comes from a specific binder. But when you start pulling them out and that, it gets cloudy. But this one I'd have to guess, well, I know it's between 2002 and 2008, definitely, okay? But that's still a broad range of time. So I'm guessing around 2005. Well, it's somewhere in that department. But anyway, moving on. Let's look at the photocopies and see what I did with it as I finished the drawing into it.